Lakeland Middle School, you guys, are we recording yet?
Yep.
Okay. You don't have it, like, none of you have, you know what I mean? So you'd have to go off the last one that you all signed.
Right.
In my mind.
Yeah.
Does that?
The most recent evaluation?
Yeah. Cause it's not observation, it's evaluation.
Yeah, would it be signing?
Okay.
The last one you signed.
Most completed.
Yeah, so we just need to be clear.
Okay.
Yeah. But I feel like that's what they're trying to say, it's your last completed one, because if you're mid-year, you're not done.
Yeah.
So do you guys like her, like, format, or do you like this one? I just think the double it's a little messier, and then obviously the boxes are not even, but we can kind of wordsmith it, but are you good with if we go with this one, and then if you guys want to add or look, and I like the red, I feel like that's really clear, it's just cleaner.
So this one was also changed up with regards to certification and credentials, because a lot of the wording on the previous I don't think we even had it on our previous document, it was really it just says advanced degrees. One of the things that I noticed the Coeur d'Alene School District had, as well as ISBA, was a lot of the, highly qualified teacher, which we don't use that anymore, so we've gone to the advanced professional, so that's why you see that endorsement up there. Hard to fill positions as determined by the state or the board. You'll notice I did put 2 points per level, so depending upon the level you would get up to 10 points possible if you're a level 5.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask you guys this, and does this matter? I mean, we kind of talked through it, but today I was meeting with a couple of the high school counselors. And so thinking about your IPLP, typically when you're providing evidence, it's domain 2 and 3.
Correct.
Your evaluation though, the principals have to mark you in every single domain. So I said it really doesn't matter that you're only giving evidence and doing that around domain 2 and 3 because every component has to be, but is that a factor for you guys? Like, is there a situation where you feel like if it was I don't see a situation where anybody would do this and you're having to justify your distinguished, or you know what I mean?
I guess
but
the
you
concern
only
is
have stuff on domain 2 and 3.
Well, somebody
you
did
don't
say
have
that
stuff on 1
in
and 4.
the previous document, I think it was only up to proficient. But then the other argument that I heard was, but you wouldn't even have to worry about proficient or distinguished, because basically anybody who scored a basic or an unsatisfactory would be basically at the top of the list to start.
But some of our conversation was about, like, let's just say a principal marked you something and then you felt like you wanted to be able to fight it or justify it. Is there a situation where you would need to prove evidence outside of just the evaluation? Because you wouldn't have that on 1 and 4.
The things that I've dealt with through the LEA have been that a lot of the principals are only focused, so they're solely focused on 2 and 3. And
for observations
to mark that distinguished if that person earns it, so they're really
right.
And then from what I've heard from other people is a lot of principals, they're not as worried about the other ones, and so they just kind of put a proficient score without even spending the time to see if they're really distinguished in those areas. So,
and remember, for domain 1, the only way you'd know that is if you did some type of pre and post conference. Right. And really getting in, if you're going to those common prep periods, and really there would have to be some type of conference here. So this one would be easy to judge because there's just, it's what you know about the person, their timeliness, their paperwork. So we did talk about that. Like, there's so much focus here. Does that matter? I mean, the principals mark all of this. But for you guys, all your observations are tied to 2 and 3. Does that change anything? And I hadn't thought about that until somebody brought it up.
Can it just be an overall, like, if
that's what's?
I think
to me it should just be.
I don't know.
Overall, like, are you distinguished?
Because they have to do an overall rating.
Yeah. Right.
I do like that, like an overall rating instead of individually with those categories. Overall,
are you talking like an average of those points?
At that bottom.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm assuming, like, if you're at APE, you're getting distinguished.
Right. Well, but only in one category.
Right, so there's
you're not in all.
But it has to be above basic
and when they actually,
would be.
So
A.
see,
But when
look
they
at
know,
in most
and when you
of
score it at
the
the bottom, I don't think anyone's distinguished because it averages out to like a 3.1.
Well, then maybe we
Yeah.
take out distinguished and it's proficient
kind of-
basic.
yeah.
so most of them
mean,
have lumped it together, and it's just it's a professional rating, and it's a what. So I just again, I hadn't thought about that until somebody brought it up. And Shannon and Josh, you have a thought? I mean, we mark all of that.
Yeah, I think it should be, the wording would be proficient and above, distinguished
Yeah.
shouldn't even be in the
Yeah.
ballpark. Cause that's subjective as anybody.
Right.
Yep.
I agree.
And
Yeah,
then you won't, as a teacher, have to feel the need to prove that in that little, like we're in your classrooms, a couple of times a semester, and now
Right.
that falls on me to mark you a distinguished, so you can have, that's not fair to either of us.
No.
And so when it comes down to, I think proficient or better
Yeah.
is plain.
Yeah.
And I do believe all 4 categories should be in there, right?
All 4 domains you mean.
Correct, or all 4 domains, yes.
I don't have.
Oh,
that.
Because
for
if
domain,
you're,
okay,
if
gotcha.
you're,
That'd be
and it
nice.
would be marked,
We can
worried
just
about
make a
being
copy
marked
of it if
basic,
that's
cause
the
if
case. Another
you are
copy,
8,
that's fine.
you're
Yeah,
not
make a
marked
copy of
basic
that.
in 1 or 4.
Right,
You-
exactly.
So I think it's,
Yeah.
I shared it, I made you an editor.
Yeah, but we're on as Maria, that's why.
Hey.
I'll just make a copy,
Okay.
that's not a big deal.
Yeah,
And
I
I'll
just,
share
the
it
only
with
reason why I
myself.
left those was because that's what was on the original, and that's why I streamlined it, because I figured whoever made this
I think
before
it's fair,
wanted
cause
it.
you wanna be as equitable as possible. I've had 3 principals in the last 5 years and they've each done that part different in the evaluation. One just said, I'm not very proficient, distinguished here. The other ones took it a little more seriously, but.
I just felt like it was worth talking about,
Yeah.
cause
No,
I
for sure.
really
No,
hadn't
yeah.
thought about that.
I think anything that you can to make it easier to,
Well, and before we used to rank ourselves and then the principals pretty well kind of followed that, where I don't know what the new,
Maria, I'm
Well,
just
if we
sharing
even
this
did
with
that.
myself because we had to make a copy, cause you didn't have editing access. Okay, so are we taking off distinguished?
yes.
Everybody's in agreement with that?
that's fine.
Yeah.
Aren't you taking off below basic as well?
Is that what we said?
Are we having teachers that are, I mean,
Possible score would be
What
a
do they
9
get if they're
or
on
even
an
12 now.
improvement plan? Isn't it just a basic
would
score?
below basic be on an improvement plan? Or do we have people that are on below
This
basic?
is strictly for reduction in force, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, if you're on the basic, aren't you kind of on the chop block anyways? I mean,
Well, yeah, you'd be in this scoring category right
Right.
now, so.
Possible score
But
is
it-
12 now.
I haven't looked on the IPLP though. Is there a spot to put below basic on the IPLP? When you're scoring, or is it just distinguished, proficient, or basic? Oh, it's unsatisfactory. Yeah, that's what it is.
Sorry,
It's
unsatisfactory.
So maybe we change it to unsatisfactory and call it good. Cause doesn't unsatisfactory, if you get that score, then you're automatically on an improvement plan. That's the next step.
Should be.
Is there something if you're on an improvement plan,
I can't see.
It almost should just be that if you're on an improvement plan,
Right.
you're probably
right?
Yeah.
getting.
But is that in there? That we need to put that in there?
I mean, so I don't even know that you would have it here. I mean.
But I feel like if we're gonna mark all the ratings, shouldn't we have all the ratings? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, you could be, like how Jason's saying, I mean, 3 principals in 5 years, you could end up on an improvement plan which you
True.
don't agree with. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
maybe.
That's a good point.
Probably don't ever agree with that.
hey Lynn, when we first changed to that format, the one that we're doing now,
To
you
know
came
me?
up with a cover page.
I did?
Yeah, rather than the board, I think the concern was board, if they wanted to look through, an evaluation, there was like a cheat sheet, a cover page that, you formed. Would that page work for this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Can't
with the-
remember. But I made it?
Yeah,
Can't remember.
it was good.
You change the
Awesome.
score.
You did that one, yeah.
Different scores would be 12, right?
I think a cover page would be good though. If you find it, Share it with me. I'll pull it up. I don't know what you're talking about. My brain's a little done today. Okay, we can worry about Maria and I can work on that. Okay, so the next thing she has is education, certification, and credentials.
Yeah, because the rest, on ours, we just had
So here's
extra educational certification.
Yeah. So here's hard to fill.
Yep.
Here's advanced degrees, advanced degree doctorate, additional endorsements, 2 points per endorsement.
And I was told because, I think Matilla was on the committee that helped to put this together. She kind of suggested putting that max point because, you know, and neither here nor there because like I have 4 endorsements, but, social studies might have a plethora of endorsements, and so really, even though it's kind of all under the same heading.
It's
I think we
weighting
should
it a
add
little
some
bit.
more.
You think you should add some more?
Yeah, it's weighting it a little bit. Okay,
Yeah.
national. Okay, but just because shouldn't this look the same?
Sure.
Don't right? Like how you have it?
Cause it's just a check the box thing, isn't it?
Is it total points or 22?
Yeah.
I know I'm super anal, but I'm anal, so I'm just gonna say it. Okay.
That is not a record.
I know that I said that. It's okay. I'm tired.
Too many meetings.
Too many meetings.
You can clean that up
We'll
later,
fix
yeah.
that up. Okay.
The other thing, the possible score doesn't matter, cause if you have 18 certificates, right, you could have unlimited endorsements, right?
But you go only up to 4 points.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's why we capped that one at 4.
does it say that in
Mhm.
there? I don't think I saw that.
Yeah. And so then,
So
yeah.
this
The
is
one that you
student
have on the recording is
extracurricular
the one
activities.
up on the screen.
So this is just.
So this is extra duty. So head coach, 4 points. Varsity.
This was all the same, I didn't change any of that,
Okay.
so.
So all the coaching.
But I didn't have a possible score, cause I didn't know like what that could
Yeah.
be the top score of, so.
Okay. And then,
So,
Hey, Jason, oh, sorry.
nope. Go ahead.
Looking at, and I looked at that quickly a couple of weeks ago, explain to me the difference if you're a head baseball coach, in just you're a head baseball coach, and then I've got a teacher that is a sub-varsity coach, 3 different seasons. What is the difference there in that rating system?
check.
And I would like your thoughts on, if you wanted to say who's more valuable, I don't wanna praise it like that, but how do those stack in your personal? I can think of staffing wise of having a teacher coach that coaches 3, how valuable they are. But a head coach, of course, is valuable. I don't know if there's a quality between those 2 scenarios. And if you did plug it into this, what does that turn out to be?
Yeah.
well, and I don't know, cause Becca, I talked to you about this, but like, do you get any points for ever coaching? I mean, you look at Jason and I put in
25 years of coaching and
You should have
almost
thought
2
of that before you guys
decades,
retired.
and then we retired, so
Yeah,
now it
now we're
doesn't, or
screwed
you were the
with it.
leadership teacher, and that never doesn't count, like, are we only counting right now?
Or I feel like, again, what we said, this has to go off of your last evaluation.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I got
So I feel like,
okay,
Right?
Mhm. Yeah, and a lot of it's tied to that statute,
Okay.
so.
yeah. But I get what you're saying. But think about none of the elementary people, most of them,
Mhm.
they can't get points here. But they're also not endorsed.
right.
Mhm.
But that's the hard part.
Should there be a separate RIF procedure for high school versus?
Well, you could be an elementary teacher and be a coach.
This
a head
is the
coach.
same.
It just doesn't happen very often because of the schedule.
Right.
It's
Why I try to
like,
take them in.
elementary gets out
So that
later.
would be hard.
Well,
So-
Evelyn
So
was
this
a
whole
head coach.
Right, but
Right.
some do, but it's rare.
Right.
It's hard, yeah.
So-
It's not
But I
even
think
in the scheduling.
If you're
It would
roofing
just be
people,
NA for
you're
them.
roofing elementary teachers together, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's a little bit apples to
Okay,
oranges.
12.
Right.
I guess,
Why?
well,
Yeah.
I guess elementary is
Amongst elementary,
apples to apples,
not,
high
like, I
school.
wouldn't be up against an elementary teacher.
The only time it wouldn't be
I'd
that
work with the
way
secondary teachers.
is with endorsements, because you could be an elementary K-8 person, but then just happen to have a endorsement in history. And you could be, I mean, so endorsements do play a part, like when you're looking at a RIF situation with category 1s and potential resignations, to avoid that, it could be a situation where we say, hey, you're endorsed here and we need a social studies teacher, or you're endorsed in English and we need you. You could currently be in elementary. I don't think that happens very often, but endorsements do start to matter when you have a few positions to fill and you're trying to fill them with in-house.
That's true.
But
Can you scroll up to the first category.
this category?
Yeah. I just wanted to, because Josh brought up a good point is. head coach.
Yeah, I didn't change anything here, so this was all the original verbiage and point scores, so.
And remember, none of these have gone out for surveys, so
Right.
that would be the next step, so people could give feedback. And, you know, I could see elementary saying something, but the reality is most K-8 are competing with K-8, you know. Anything else there?
No, I
Okay.
mean, I think it's fine. I think the head coach,
I think this is where elementary can still gain a lot of points, and that's why I wanted to add to this, the professional contributions, because we know that our elementary school teachers do a lot of these things, and so I think this is where their points definitely would come into play.
For me, like when you look at, and again, they're not, but we are giving this for, and I guess,
Because you can get more points in here, like you could qualify in each one of those.
okay, yeah, that makes
boxes,
sense,
so
whereas the
two-
other one is just one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they could get 10 points in this
Volunteers,
one.
volunteer participates in the build, oh, I like this right here.
I mean, you can assign whatever points you want.
No, yeah, participation in the district committee work.
So this one has quite a few,
Yeah, no, I like that.
score of 14 possible there,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, no, I like that. And then.
And then that's the last part, and again, I didn't change anything here for the longevity
Mhm.
component of things, that's the same, I just made a different format. And the only
So
thing
then
that
the
I
question I
changed-
have here for this tiebreaker,
Well,
like,
it just says years of service to the district, that's what was in the original one, I deleted the one that said veterans preference,
Mhm.
because I don't know why that was a thing, but if you wanna add it back, you can, and if somebody thinks there should be something different, and
do we wanna give points, like, are we gonna say you're, like, is
basically, if you have more.
the points are the point, like, if you were
Yeah.
14, 15, or we're not gonna say over 10 is this, like, do we wanna have point value, or is it just the years?
I think it's just a tiebreaker,
So-
so if you have one person or another person, then you're using that as
Their actual years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if it's
Reason-
Shonda and I, and we both teach social studies, I'm gonna win the tiebreaker, cause I've been here longer than her, if we're tied,
Well, but,
cause we teach the
Well, when you
same
have a
exact
pile
thing.
of ties, like let's say you have 3 ties,
Mm.
they're all out
Oh.
of 10, I don't even know what
Yeah.
number it is, okay? So, okay, let's go through these are the lowest ones, okay, who has, or this is our borderline. Okay, who has the most years, okay, that one stays, right?
and
'Cause
the
it doesn't-
kicker is, so this is the other piece, years of service, or is it years of service to the district?
To the
It
district.
says years of service, oh, you just mean in general, yours
Could
is-
you do
I
a,
think
could you do
it's
a
just
point,
district.
To the
a point
district.
thing there where you have years of service to the district would gain
And
more
versus
points
years
than
of
total
experience.
years of service? I mean, could you do it,
You can, yeah.
do we just want one category for a tiebreaker, or do we have?
Like I said, I just pulled from the original document.
Cause like you said, I'm worried if it comes down to 3, what if they're, what if they're equal?
But you did put down here that 2 points went to years of service in the district and 2 points went to veterans preference. And then you had a total of 90 points possible, but I didn't do that calculation, so.
I just feel like I think that we should be loyal to the people that have been in the district,
Yeah.
so if it's, you know, Delaney's taught here for, you know, how many, 3 years, and, somebody else just moved here, and so what, that you have 15 years, like,
Yeah,
let's
it's-
keep the
it's-
person that went to Lakeland
it's
that
honoring
is
the
here for
people
3
that-
years,
yeah.
and they're only been here for 1, I guess, to me, that makes sense,
So
but.
can we have a second tiebreaker of total years taught? So if you have 2 people with
Oh,
But I'm
3 in
saying-
the district, but one has 10 years and one has 3.
so like
But
if,
it's a double tiebreaker, like the second tiebreaker.
No, sometimes you need that.
Well, that's, I mean, seriously.
No, I'm not making fun of you, I'm just like,
There-
ugh, I don't know.
There's a scenario
I
out
don't
there
know.
where you
Right.
could be tied after all that.
So like if another English teacher and I were hired in the same year,
Mhm.
but they had 10 years of experience.
Beforehand, yeah.
And it came down to we're
Right.
equal in every other respect.
Right.
You want the more experienced teacher?
How about, can the tiebreaker be, did you graduate and then come back?
I'm not trying to get rid of the lady.
No, but I mean, like,
Yeah, do you live in the community?
do you,
Were
yeah,
Were you born and raised in
Do
do
Rapid?
you live in the community?
Are you from California?
Right.
-5.
Right.
Minus one.
No.
Sorry, it's my
You still mad?
Thanks, Jason.
Sorry, we're being recorded. All you Californians out there, I apologize.
We're gonna just leave it right
Jokes.
now. We'll come back to it.
Was there something, did we have 8 on there at all?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
not I did, yes.
Yeah,
On this-
Becca added it.
I did, I added 8, and
Sorry.
you can get up to 10 points if you're a level
Because we
5.
changed that from the,
The highly qualified was not even listed on the
It's
original
all
document.
here.
Yeah.
What we don't, and I'm asking this question, we don't have the professional rung, so like, the P status before you.
I don't know what, I didn't know that existed
P1
until last
to
night.
P5.
P1,
I didn't even know what the
P5.
Ps
What
were
is
until
that?
last night,
so
so.
like if we weren't, all the before they had 8, everyone just ended, if they were P1 to P5. So you went from renewing contract to professional contract
Oh, okay.
on the career.
I
ladder.
say, let's not muddy the water, I think
I'm
it's
like-
clean.
Is it still?
It is, there's so many weird things, I mean, you
Yeah.
got category 1, you got,
What?
Yeah, I think let's stay away from category status.
Okay.
Because you're really talking about 2s, 3s, and renewables. And so the way we have it, 2s and 3s mean that you're newer here, so anybody with longevity to the district would beat them out, the tiebreaker would be that person. The time when you're gonna use the, tiebreaker will be with renewable contracts.
Yeah. And then that's where the AP might come into play, because somebody might be on a level 2, and somebody else might be on a level 4, and so on and so forth. So.
Yeah, and, potentially have the master's degree.
Yeah.
Would
Okay.
that have anything to do, like, would that somehow violate that it can't have anything to do with seniority?
no. We had our lawyers
just
check all of
you know,
that,
it's like
and,
you're-
yeah, it's.
Well, and a lot of this, like,
I mean,
this, piece right here where it talks about longevity, my understanding, and I haven't, but just looking at the lawyer's comments, it just can't be the sole reason. It can be a piece of the factor, right, but it can't be the sole decision-making factor, is
You-
how I read
You
it,
can't,
yes?
yeah, you can't just have a point system based on years of experience, that's it.
Right.
So there has to be other factors other than,
Which is why 2s, 3s, and renewables are all together, because outside of category 1s, everybody, if there's a RIF situation, would fall into this. But again, the way the tiebreaker works, and then this piece right here, likely if you're a 2 or a 3, you're gonna have less points. So,
yeah.
but do you feel like people are gonna say, well, this is the same as this?
Right,
That's the tiebreaker part though, isn't it?
Right, but,
Well,
and
'cause I
it
guess-
wouldn't be for me, because I'll just be blunt. Chris Darson and I don't know how we would rank on this. I don't know all the things he's done, he doesn't know all the things I've done, but we have both, if you go to 20 or more years of completed service, we would both get 4 for that, because he came on to replace me. So I would win out on the tiebreaker because I was here 3 years ahead of him.
okay,
'Cause
So-
that's only one category, where this one is just a cut.
it's
dry
the
years of
number,
experience,
yeah, okay.
And there's like 15 to 19, there's a range there, right?
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
right,
You could both get a 3, but if you want the tiebreaker.
yeah.
You're good.
Okay, so if you guys are comfortable with this, I am going to.
You can clean it up and make it all look good and all that.
I think I'm
note
pretty
for
sure
that
I
one.
shared it with myself.
The lowest on there was like 5 to 9 years of service. Is 5 the lowest number we want to have in consideration?
Oh, that's
Oh, no,
yeah.
I don't have it.
Cause if you go to our procedure, the procedure is we go.
Oh, yeah.
We go to category 2 and 3, and everybody that has basics, what's right after that? I think is it then everybody?
It says if more positions conducted district leadership, well, with 3 to 10 years of experience in the Lakeland, necessary reductions will be made from a poll beginning with next source score.
Yeah,
So
so
3
it's
to 10.
It's 3
So
to
you
10.
do you make this a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and you just say 0 or
Yeah.
1 to
Yeah.
4?
Yeah.
Do you do it that way?
Well, 2 to 4 because one's, well,
No, not
no,
necessarily.
because,
Change the
yeah,
5 to 9.
because you may have to keep a category 1 depending on.
So am I
person.
saying something like, sorry,
Yeah, that's a good point.
I didn't-
Gort?
I've only been here 3 years.
Yeah.
This one I have a dog in.
Yeah.
There's a dog in this fight.
4? And
I
so
think
if
we all
we
have
say
dogs. We want it to be
1,
equitable, we want it to be fair, and we want it to be
2,
equal, so.
3,
I just got a point.
4. Don't mind the pace that. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I like it.
And the 1 is the most equitable. That doesn't put us in concern with some earlier, like category 1 and higher.
No, because this isn't that you're a category 1. Category 1 just means you were hired after August 1st, the board approved this. I mean, you could have somebody that got hired, let's just say in June, has been teaching for 3 years in Post Falls and came over here and got hired in June. Because they have experience, they're a category 2, year 1. You could then come in August, same exact dynamic, but because you came after August, you're a category 1. So category 1 doesn't necessarily mean it's your first year teaching. Does that make sense? It really depends on when you were hired. Okay, you guys feel like that's better? So we're just counting everything?
Yeah, you're valuing all your employees.
Okay. So share, copy link. I'm gonna do this now, because otherwise it won't be there, and then I won't remember we did it, so.
Now this looks really messy compared to what was last, like, there's a lot of.
We need to pull this one up.
Correct, yeah, like a coin flip.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just
Yeah.
thinking about it. How many
Like-
sports things have come down?
Game
Like
of-
tiebreaker type
okay.
thing.
Okay.
So we are going to look at, we finished our draft, the last thing we were working on is our procedure. So we're gonna go through and order in the court. Chatty Cathy's. We're just gonna go through this, cause we made it through this one. We're gonna reread it.
But there's a lot of stuff that,
Yeah, I wanna see where we landed. We needed to really clean this one up, remember?
It's messy.
This is a lot. Okay. Cause we had the statute, so.
So I think these are, well, it says 8 on it.
Yeah, remember, but though we actually took the language from, I think Trustee Thompson, so this is Coeur d'Alene's version that I added in because this one was cleaner. Remember, we liked just some of the verbiage in the 8, 9, so let's read what we have and then we can talk about if we like this better, cause it might just be a matter of copy and pasting up. Okay, so we have the decision to institute a RIF and the selection of an employee or employees subject to such reduction shall be at the sole discretion of the board, except for the following limitation. The decision as to which employee or employee shall be subject to such reduction shall not be made solely on consideration of employee seniority or contract status. Prior to commencing, terminate certified employee contracts under these procedures. The board will give due consideration to. So that's what we have, provided that however no transfer shall result in the termination of another employee. So this is what Coeur d'Alene has. I'm just gonna kinda go back and forth just so you can see it. So they have, will apply only certified employees reduced or disqualified who were presumed to have been performing satisfactorily prior to commencing, terminate these procedures. The district administrator will determine what buildings, grade levels, and our subject matters need to be reduced per the policy. The district administration will make a list of the certified employees' name, subject, grade. I like ours better. Prior to commencing, I think that's a lot of language.
It's a lot cleaner on our side.
Retirements, resignations, we just need to make sure those 4 are there.
And we do.
We have that?
Yep.
Okay. That's not sealed, okay.
Reassignment transfers of existing staff members, transfer of existing staff members in a position for which they're.
We'll just look at that one right here, does it?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna take off this, cause this will make our life easier. Okay, we said this is all, okay. So. Okay, so now we have, this is where we kind of really were like, oh, do we like this language? Upon its declaration of a financial emergency, the board shall reopen. Remember, the board and Lakeland, we talked a ton about the language here. The board and the Lakeland shall meet and confer if the parties to the negotiated agreement mutually agree. Then we said if an agreement cannot be made, the board shall hold a due process hearing after the due process. So I think everything after 4, we were like, do we like this language? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's look at what Coeur d'Alene had, because we kind of liked that. Okay, in the event reference to our retained position may be reassigned to suitable positions in making determinations, criteria, each criterion below shall be considered in terms of the total context when selecting those employees. So those are our standards, right, Rebecca? We have evaluations, professional, and we can add our standards that we added coaching, like what our headers were.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna do this and you guys tell me what you think about this. I just feel like this is cleaner. Okay, so if we come here. I'm gonna come right here and see where that fits. So in the event, because I feel like we said 2 and 3 had to be there, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about 4? Termination, we put our evaluation, certified on the RIF cannot transfer for any point subject to a RIF. Human resource, accompanying the notification, a certified employee receiving. This is really giving the outline of what you would do if you don't agree, which I think is good. Standards governing selection employees subject to the FIP rights. Certified staff member is not affected by this measure. So I think we have to. You guys tell me what you think. This is what I think has to happen. I think our 1 through 4 or 1 through 5, whatever, has to stay. And then I think in the event, now we're starting the RIF process because then they have all the HR stuff.
Right.
So let me just make it the same font and we can start reading it. I'll show you what I mean. This is like, this doesn't talk at all about like, it's just if you don't agree with it. It doesn't really have like the negotiated part, like when you open the negotiated, it doesn't really talk about any of that. So I feel like we have to keep all those pieces because we fixed that last time. You guys agree? I can tell you're all talking.
I have a question on how this works. I don't know if this is in there or not, or if we've gone over it or not, but is everybody, let's just take us like the high school, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Does everybody get a score?
Mm-hmm.
Or do we just go, we need people to reduce in English?
I think
Does it go by department? I mean,
high
if the
school
5
would
lower
depend
schools are all
on-
English, you can't get rid of all the English teachers.
Right. I think high school would, again, I've never done this either, but in my mind, I think it would be, for high school, would be specific to the position that you need. Like if you had to RIF, you have to have so many English teachers,
Right.
you have to have, so with that, it would be department specific. Elementary though, I think would be open.
But it's not school specific because
It's
Right.
it would
every
be,
district
it would
else is thinking
be
it's-
right.
Timberlake and Lakeland teachers would be pulled together
So
in
they-
one
It would be
pile.
department.
Just by
It's
department.
everyone who's
That makes sense to me.
credentialed to do that, you know, that's what I would think.
Right.
But
'cause
see, and
you-
you can't even do
Lakeland
department, you would have to do
teachers.
literally what certificates people have,
Right.
because
Well, I
like.
was just thinking if you're in social studies.
I
we
meant
have
department
English
by the
and-
certificates.
Right, I
like
mean,
what
we
your
have a lot of
endorsements
people
are.
that are
We
history
are talking about
endorsed.
procedure here, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just,
Huh?
we are talking about procedure here.
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm,
Is that like, so that everybody just gets a score and we start looking through that after that?
Well, we need to, if it's not clear, we need to add that in.
Mhm.
Well, I'm not clear, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the number 10 on there, it says for each employee subjected to the a profile would be developed
Right,
by
so
the HR.
that's where I feel like is what he's talking about, so
Yeah.
it would, so let's just say that we said we have to cut 9 high school teachers, but we need this many across both high schools, we need this many English, this, so then you, Colleen's point, it wouldn't be department really, because you have to then start looking at endorsements, so anybody that had an English endorsement, you would have to fill out the
So we go by
form.
endorsement.
Yeah, because you could potentially teach that, that's how it would work in my mind.
Yeah.
That's,
So
I
does that
mean,
have to be in the
I guess,
procedure?
Cause
That's
you're
a
gonna
good
look
question.
at, you're gonna look
Right.
at programs first, you're gonna look at departments, you're gonna look at, you know, all that.
Elementary would be across the board.
Yeah, K-8, all K-8.
But that would also include middle school, because there are some middle school people who are K-8.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's something that like, even moving forward, whether we RIF or not, needs to start getting looked at so that we can continue to reduce. Because we do have, like, in our building, we have a lot of people that could teach social sciences. So are we using our staff the best way that we possibly
Okay.
can?
but I do have a question about the language that they have for their number 7. We don't have that same language, we just have, provided that no transfer shall result in the termination of another employee. They literally have certified employees on the RIF list cannot transfer into a position that would cause another employee not on the list to lose their position. So that kind of makes me wonder, why would one be on the list and one wouldn't, if they both have similar credentialing and endorsements? So, or what are they doing ahead of this that lands them on the RIF list? Are they already filling out the form and doing, well, it says it'd be creating a profile, but.
Yeah, so let's just go so I feel like we said
Okay.
this was our one, right? So
Mhm.
I'm gonna just change the numbering, maybe it'll just work for me, cause I want it to work, but maybe not. Nope, it's not. Nope.
If you go down, click on it like you just did, and then down select, what does it say? Is there something below that you can choose? Oh.
Nope.
Usually it says you can change the number, start number.
Can you just hit 1?
No.
We'll clean it up.
Huh.
Okay, so this is what we have. So this is, we spent, remember, a lot of time on like 1 through 4. So let's just say this is 1. This is just really gonna bother me, so I'm gonna start. See,
If you hit tab, it might. Nope.
let me just see if I do this.
Should say restart numbering, should be an option.
Okay, it's fine. We'll go as we go, we'll do it. Okay, so upon its declaration of a financial emergency, the board shall reopen the salary and benefits compensation aspects of the negotiated agreement to include the length of the certificated employee contracts along with the amount of compensation and benefits. Yes? Okay. The board and the Lakeland Association shall meet and confer in good faith to the purpose of reaching an agreement. Yes?
Okay.
Was this was 3, right? That wasn't all together. Do I have different fonts here? Okay. If the parties to the negotiated agreement mutually agree other matters maintained within the negotiated agreement directly affecting the financial circumstances in the district may be discussed and negotiated. Right? Okay, so this was the next one.
And just to be clear, this is to try to prevent a RIF from happening, right? All of these things are things that we're discussing in order to try to prevent having to reduce in force.
I don't read it like
No,
that.
It's the steps that have to happen.
This is where
Okay.
where it's gonna hit the road right
Okay.
now, is we're gonna declare a financial emergency and then this process happens.
I mean, the key would be that you have enough category 1s and resignations, which
Right.
if anybody's a category 1, I'm really sorry. But then if you had enough of that, then you could do some internal movement and not have to
Yeah.
RIF. Would be ideal. I mean, not for our category 1s, unfortunately, so. Okay, if an agreement cannot be made, the board shall hold a due process hearing for all affected parties. So again, that's the piece, that's where you get to kind of, they're telling you what's happening. After the due process hearing, the board shall provide its final offer to the LEA based on the scoring provided by the submission of the policy. So this number 5, I think this one has to be the last, right?
Right.
Or are we saying 4 and 5 are the very last? Like, I think
I
4 and
think-
5 has to be the last because
I-
this is after you've done the scoring.
I think we're missing there, the way I'm reading it, because
Yeah.
to go from 3, so we're reopening to talk about contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go to 4 if an so the due process hearing is for the person getting riffed.
Right, I know, that's why I'm
Anybody-
taking that out,
Because
putting it at the
anybody
bottom.
actually getting riffed, if they're on that, so Brooke would notify them saying
Mhm.
you're gonna be riffed, they now can fight that and they can schedule a due
Yeah,
process
cause
hearing
this
with
is
the
all, okay, I'm just gonna,
I think that was just as far as we got last
Yeah,
time.
I think
Right.
so.
And
Yeah,
we were
I
like,
agree.
Okay, we've got this done, what are we gonna put in the middle of the sandwich?
Yeah.
yeah, I agree, so I'm just striking through some of that language, that was all from the attorney, so I feel like based on the current salary scheduled.
That's the
which
last
becomes
part, that
open during
recall
such
employees, the
period.
last part of the quarterly income.
Yeah.
So that's that last paragraph of the
Okay,
quarterly.
the problem though is, okay, I'm just gonna put it right here so we know it's in front of the yellow, right? Like I can fix that. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, so we have, if the party to the negotiated agreement mutually agree, okay. In the event a RIF is required, certificated employees who are retained pursuant to this policy may be reassigned if suitable position openings. I think that one's appropriate. We'll just have to see the order. In making a determination as to the individuals to be released pursuant to the RIF, consideration without priority will be given to the following criteria. Each criterion below shall be, okay, I think that's good. Becca, will you give me what you put as our header? So we have evaluation, and what's the next one on your deal that you did?
On the scoring.
I don't
on
have
the-
it in front of
Okay,
me.
hold on, let me go to it. Somebody remember this. We have evaluations. We have education, certification, and credentials. We have student, school, activities. Oh, that's a mouthful. I'm just gonna
Just
copy and
copy
paste
paste
that. And then we have, professional contributions. So,
And that's already up there.
right,
So really the only new part to that one would be the one with the student.
okay, so you have professional contributions, and then you had, we had longevity. So,
And that was after that.
I'm not spelling it right, I can't see.
And then
Okay, then what else did we
the
have?
tiebreaker.
The breaker considerations. Okay, so what, is this right? Evaluations, professional standards, did we have educational certification and credentials?
We did, cause I took that from them.
But aren't these flip
I
flops?
think those are flipped.
Educational certificate goes above.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Where did professional standards and conduct go? I don't think I have professional standards and conduct. I don't think that was one of
You
ours.
had professional contributions.
Yeah, but that's down at the bottom. So
Yeah.
I got rid of that one because that was not nice. I
Okay,
didn't like it.
evaluations, education,
I read what it was, I
certifications,
didn't
and
like it because it basically was
credentials, yeah.
like, if you've ever been written up for anything, or if you've ever been whatever, and I'm like, I don't wanna have that, so, I mean, you can if you want, but. I didn't like that.
It wasn't nice.
It wasn't nice.
What is-
It literally was like, if you have had any sort of like write-up or, like if you had a principal that did not like you and gave you nasty things in your folder, then that counted against you.
Okay,
I was looking for the positives, not the negatives.
okay, so we have that, certified employees, okay, so I need to go to 6.
You're gonna wanna change that lettering.
Oh,
What
yeah.
is the deal?
I don't know.
That's just crazy.
Is it gonna let me go to my numbers? Nope. Okay, this is my ghetto way of doing it, but that's what I'm gonna do.
And granted, it was like within the last 3 to 5 years, so I'm sure some of these other things would have taken place, like evaluations and things like that. But that's not if you had somebody, like, for example, if you're coming in later, and you have that, what's that we're doing, I don't know what's coming against you. Okay, but that comes in later too, when professional, you know, you see it later on. So it does come back.
Ah.
Right.
Come on, work. Quit being dumb.
It's Google.
This is when Microsoft is a little
Mhm.
more superior.
No, it is, it's by far
It's-
the.
Sorry,
yeah.
this is just
For this
bothering me.
kind of
Google's so
stuff.
much, you know, it's quicker and
Yes.
to get to, you know, and
It's awesome.
for
but
saving and all
yes.
that is so nice, but
Okay,
Well, I
certified
need to have
employees on the
technology
RIF
come through all this
list
stuff, 'cause I
cannot
called
transfer
Steve
into a
working
position
on
that
it.
would cause another employee not on the RIF list to lose their position.
I
I don't know
like
about
that
that.
I think you have to
sentence.
keep it though, just because it means there's no option, you can't transfer. If
Okay.
you're on that RIF list, there's,
Yeah, you
So
gotta
then do we
know where
delete it
you-
from back
where
up
you
here
need
because
to
we
be.
kind of have ours already?
Yeah, but that's an old one, we've changed it so much from then.
We didn't change, did we, this is the one that got printed off for tonight. Can you scroll back up to the top real quick and see if it's still, yeah, it says right there, provided that however, no transfer shall result in the termination of another employee. That's pretty much echoing what that says right there, certified
I
employees.
say we just take that off.
okay, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
It's the same
Again, how you
thing.
get on the roof is
Mhm.
yeah.
We still don't know how you get on the RIF list.
So we're gonna have to talk about that.
What does that look like? Yeah.
I would think that would be part of the procedure.
Agreed. The human department shall advance notice the possible RIF to all certificate employees who may be released. Accompanying the notification, you shall provide a copy of their certification, profile. I feel like what they're saying, if I'm being honest, hold on, I'm gonna finish my thought. You said there was an error that has been made, this is where you get to challenge it. We'll read it all, have you guys read it all. Possible error. Feel like this is just the due process piece,
Right.
you know what I mean? If the human department finds an error has been completion of providing product can be reported to the certificate in question. Okay, so then. Determines that no error was made, okay, so this is just again, this is all the due process piece. Okay, the general standard governing selection of employees subject to the such shall not discriminate, I don't feel like we need this. Do you feel like we need this?
Well, is that what Corey's talking about though? Is that what is deciding?
I don't feel like it is though.
It doesn't really say much.
Uh-uh.
Says highest quality instruction to the students, so that, I mean.
What does that mean though?
But how, you won't know that until you do your profile. I think what we'd have to say is the HR would have to build the profile based on the need, the endorsement need. Something like that. I don't feel like we need this. What do you guys think?
I don't think we do.
I don't know what it
Or is that
means.
something that's legal that needs to
Or
be
is that just
there?
some legalese?
I don't know.
And we've already went through the statute on that, and
Right.
there's nothing in there
Okay, so then we're saying, this is a mouthful, okay? Okay. Staff members not affected by this may be reassigned and may have extra duties removed with appropriate reduction of salary with the existing event for an administrative position becomes available in the district while the reduction force place is in effect. The board is not obligated to follow the criteria set forth above, but may select an individual it deems to be the most qualified individual. What?
In the event that it's an administrative position is what they're saying. We haven't touched upon any sort of administration situation, this is all teacher related, so that's so basically if a principal is
Yeah,
part of the
so
RIF,
it's
then the
administrative.
board will select whoever they deem as,
Do you guys wanna keep that in?
I don't know if that's even a thing, like I don't know how
Yeah, so so if we need to reduce the principal, which, I mean, we're kind of in a lucky situation right now, just because we have one that's gonna be retiring at the elementary. and so you might not have, but if in a 9.5, you may have to look at riffing a principal.
Right.
But if you riff the principal,
Would they just go back
wouldn't
to the
they just go
classroom?
back into a
This
classroom?
to me is, well,
Cause this sounds like you're getting rid of somebody to
But
replace
if
them.
you
well,
So
my
that would
understanding
ultimately-
is there's something in the law that says, like for me, I taught here in the district,
Mhm.
so I didn't throw out, just going into administration, I didn't throw out my due process rights
Right.
specific to my renewable contract.
Right.
So,
So
are
if
you
if
going
they
to be
were
protected?
pushing me, like they said, we're done with you, they are obligated to give me a certified position.
Right.
And I potentially bump somebody else in a RIF situation.
I see.
But the board, I think this is saying, how I'm reading this is in the event that an administrative position becomes available, and while the reduction in force, the board is not obligated to follow this criteria, like they could just move somebody they feel qualified to that admin job.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. Oh.
That's how cause it says, but may select an individual it deems to be the most qualified individual for that position.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh,
I think it's kind of a weird spot to.
right.
But it does speak to that, like
Yeah.
it could be that somebody comes to you and just
Yeah.
say, we have an opening, I know you have your admin degree, you're taking it on.
Never.
Wow.
Never.
I think that's what it's saying though.
Yeah.
Let's bring up the point though, I've heard others speak about what would a RIF look like for administrators and at like the district office level. What would that look like? What policy do we
There
need in
isn't
place?
anything, cause I mean, we don't have renewable contracts, so, I think you're at the will of the board,
Mhm.
truly. I mean, district office, so a little bit different because
We have some sort.
we have a different certification, it's not just an admin degree. So like, I can be a principal and a superintendent, but not everybody can be a superintendent, does that make sense?
Mhm.
So,
But then like where would our
But if you
assistant
had-
principals or PAs, like, do they
well,
get to
PAs
fall
are,
under?
PAs are
under
certified, they're
this?
on certified teacher contracts, so they're not part of the admin, so,
So what protects our admin then?
And one of the concerns I've heard from the community is like criticisms that the district is top heavy.
right. With,
I don't know what procedure would be for that.
yeah,
I think basically what this is when you're in a renewable contract, this is protective of, you're not at will, so you can't just be, okay, next year Tulu. Admin aren't on that same thing, so they don't have the same type of protective procedure.
mhm.
So, there's no such thing as a RIF, it would just be,
You're not
we're
renewed.
downsizing this
Yeah.
position and you don't have it anymore.
But like
But
what
they
you're
should
saying
be
though,
safe.
aren't you,
Exactly.
but they
Right.
should be
Right.
protected,
Right.
there should be,
If they got rid of your position, they would have to provide you with
That's my understanding.
right.
I'm not sure though, I've heard both, I feel like Kalina has said no, but then Lisa said yes, like, if it's a financial emergency, does that mean then like technically the program of principal assistant or ALP or whatever could get cut, and then that could be irregardless of.
But my understanding is you still have a certified contract and you still have
Yeah.
due process
That's
rights,
my hope.
so you would go into the certified pool.
Yeah, that was always my
And every
understanding, but,
conversation
yeah.
we've talked about is, so like, like the ALP conversation, if you, or specialists, like, all of those people go into the certified pool, and so then depending on
Right.
what.
And then depending upon their, yeah.
Right, so,
Or else why would anybody take a risk and step out? You know
right,
what I
well,
mean?
that's why I'm asking, like, those positions need to protect, those people need to be protected too. Cause if we have a teacher that is only been in the district for 5 years, and then we have someone that's been an admin and now they're losing their admin position, they should get
Right.
to go back in the classroom.
what I don't know for sure, and this would be a Brooke question, is if you came on as an admin, and cause I've heard different, that's where I've heard different, if like
So
you,
would that be
you
a part of
never
this?
taught in the district, you never had a renewable contract in the
Yeah.
district.
Right.
Okay, interesting, yeah, that's.
I don't know if that's true,
Yeah.
that's just what I've heard.
Lisa and I have talked about that. Yep, that is true.
So,
Okay, so.
so that protection only applies if you had a renewable contract.
Okay.
If what you're saying is accurate.
Okay, so.
But that would go into the RIF then.
I like the
Potentially.
first sentence in 14. Do we need the rest of that? I mean,
Are affected by the information.
can't you just open it up to all
promptly
people?
notify and writing the board's decision or action that they need to be taken to the board meeting. Any student who loses position as well as the reduction shall be placed on a recall list for 2 years from the effective date of RIF. Principals may choose whether or not to use the list for recall of a position, subject to approval of the Board of Trustees. However, if the position is open, it shall be open to all RIFT.
Oh, if it's opened, so only, does it say, is it only?
So like
the
in
RIF?
this kind of situation, so think about that, let's say you had to RIF people, and then at the start of next year, our
They should get
enrollment
first-
blew up.
They should get first priority.
That's what that's saying.
I think that's honoring your employee, yeah.
I don't think we should take it off.
No, I don't either. I thought it was saying that it would be
And the certified
open
employee
to
has
all.
been selected by the district person on the recall list who is and most capable, then the district will attempt to contact, I don't feel like we need all that, like it said, the district will attempt to contact the former employee for a period of 7, I like that. Are you guys good if we did this? Time permitting, the district will attempt to contact the former employee for a period of 7 days in person, or do we even need that? I feel like you're gonna try and, I don't know.
That could say something like reasonable effort to
Yeah,
contact, and it's not a time period. What if it's tomorrow that you use it?
yeah. So, could
Just
it,
say they'll attempt to contact and don't put any of the days on there.
That's a lot of days.
Well, just,
Well, it's a lot of specifics.
the
Yeah.
district will attempt to contact the former employee.
Within a reasonable amount of time.
Well, but then at the same time, it says it shall be open to all RIFT. So what if you have a conflict with
Yeah.
somebody that, like, if you have multiple people and then somebody's like, oh, well, you know, I applied or like I wanted it, but then this
Yeah.
person did
I feel like
first,
we
but
can
then
take
they
this off.
didn't.
So I feel like we're saying it up here. What do you guys think? Okay. No point of being
When
redundant.
opening occurs, principals may choose whether or not to use the list for recall of a position subject to approval. However, if the position is open, it should be open to all RIFs. Such recall rates of opportunities are also based on the same criteria. Will be implemented in the reverse order of the RIFs. So
I think what the other one was
Basically,
saying is that the people need to be notified, because is it up to that RIF person to constantly be checking every day, every week to see if there's an opening in the district? Wouldn't there be something,
Mhm.
wouldn't it be nice to know that if there is an opening?
Well, that's what
the
it, right
principal
here, it
would
says that,
automatically call?
certified employees who are affected will be promptly notified in writing of the board's decision that need to be taken to the board meeting to applicable due process. If any certified who loses as a result, it shall be placed on a recall list for 2 years. When an opening, principals may choose whether or not to use the list for a recall of position subject to approved by the board. If a position is open, it shall be open to all RIFT, and you can just put,
Reasonable effort will be made to contact.
yeah.
So, the only question I have on this one, though, it says it shall be open to all RIFT, but again, if the position isn't applicable to certain people who were on that list, would it make sense?
But I think that it would only be applicable
Most
to people that are
who were
endorsed,
RIFT,
yeah.
that's who-
Yeah.
okay.
Fine.
I don't
What
understand
about
that
the
principals may,
choose
yeah.
whether
Yeah.
or not to use the
Yeah.
list?
That means if they don't think the person's valuable enough, they can go to the board and say, I don't wanna hire this person back, I wanna open it back up.
So then, shouldn't that be in there that they have to go to the board and say, hey, I don't wanna use this?
It
person?
does.
It
Principals,
is in there.
yeah, by the board position, subject to approval by the board of trustees.
But I feel like that's, I mean, I think it's good that it's in here, but I do think that's somewhat of a given because, the principal has discretion of who they're hiring.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just, you can look at 3 people with all the same credentialing, all the same, and personalities could just be this person's gonna fit better in the culture of your building. I mean, hands down, I would pick a person that I feel like is coachable and it's gonna be part of the team versus a different personality so, I mean, we do give principals.
Even
That's
in a
what
RIF
happened to
situation.
Well, in this, it's saying, in a RIF situation, you have to open it up to everybody, but if there's 5 people that could do the job, the principal gets to choose within those 5 people.
Well, if you get RIF, there's that number, right, that list, you get a number, right?
Mhm.
So shouldn't the highest number there get put back on? It's just the same
That's a
thing,
good point.
if we have
Yeah,
somebody from Timberlake that needs to come to Lakeland,
Yeah.
I mean, does the
That's a good
principal
point.
not get to say, nope, I don't want them?
right, and
Right?
it used to be that
doesn't
way.
seem- It doesn't seem
Right.
like
It
that's.
used to be.
Cause
It
a
used-
in my
right.
opinion, a RIF situation is different than you
Mhm.
hiring someone,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Aren't we trying to keep people in our district,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is what Coeur d'Alene has, so how do we wanna word that? Principals,
So for recall
But it just
occurs.
says such recall rights or opportunities are also based upon the same criteria will be implemented in reverse order of the RIF. So then I guess you would reverse the order of the RIF and whoever,
That's exactly what you just said.
yeah, so that would
The
be
last one.
fired, is the
got
last,
rid
first one hired?
Should be
Yeah.
the first one back on.
Yeah.
Which would go by that numbering
So
system.
the highest points would be the first one.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
principals,
Is how I'm reading.
Right.
That's how I read the one.
That's what I was saying, I'm not sure if it's on there,
I
but.
like that.
okay,
The
any
highest
executive
points.
employee who works
Yeah.
as a position as
Or is that the one
shall be
that-
placed on a
And that's
recall
not
list
just
for
what
2
we
years.
want, that would be
When an
district
opening
or
occurs,
service and
principals will make contact with
The highest
The highest
score,
ranking
or
RIF.
highest ranking, yeah.
I don't know how this works.
RIF number, RIF, score, RIF score.
Principals will make contact with the highest ranking RIF score.
And work their way down the list from there. I don't know how you even.
No, I don't like that.
Say, no, I'm not being for real, I'm just.
When an opening occurs, principals will make,
Come on, English teachers.
principals will use the rank ordering from the RIF form.
To make priority callbacks, to prioritize callbacks.
I like just priority callbacks. So what do you guys think? It says, when an opening occurs, principals will use the rank ordering from the RIF form to make priority callbacks.
They may choose whether or not.
So I still feel like you have to have this piece.
Callbacks.
Okay, what do we think? Principals will use the rank ordering from the RIF form to make priority callbacks subject to approval by the Board of Trustees and the administration. However, if a position is open, it shall be open to all RIF. Reasonable effort we've made to contact all parties involved. Such recall or rights or opportunities are also based upon the same criteria and will be implemented in the reverse order of the RIF.
Like it.
Okay, so, the recalled employee will return with no loss of prior service, credit placement via da-da. Okay, that's super important. I don't think it should, like, their salary, why isn't it letting me do
Machine
that?
that start over.
Yeah, they should return.
No,
all
yeah, absolutely.
benefits, sick
Yep.
days, all that.
The board shall hold a due process hearing for all affected parties. That shall by the final form or based on this point. Okay, where does?
This is our stuff now.
That was
Yeah.
the 4 and 5.
Right, so where does that recall, so this has to go, if an agreement can be made, the board shall hold a due process hearing for all affected parties. After the due process hearing, the board shall provide its final offer to the LEA based on, I feel like that goes back up to the top,
Yeah.
but I don't know where. It feels weird now.
Yeah, well, that's talking about salary, it's not talking about the employee, it's talking about reopening for salary.
So I feel like it has to be back up here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's talking about.
But then we need some sort of paragraph that transitions from this
Yeah.
to.
Yeah,
The rest
Yeah.
that's talking about
It's like
negotiations
two separate
prior to
concepts.
RIF.
Okay, so let's just look
I'll
at
go
this.
down and picture
My what?
if it just
Oh.
says F.
If, it should be if, yes. Well, and I guess number 6 would be
The transition.
the transitional paragraph perhaps.
Okay, so is it different fonts? Does it look like it's different
It
fonts?
looks like it's bolded versus not, but I can't tell my eyeballs in the back.
I know I don't think it is. We'll mess with it. Okay. Let's just, upon declaration, okay, the Board of Lakeland will meet if the parties are are combined. If an agreement cannot be made, the board shall hold a due process hearing. After the due process hearing, the board shall provide its final offer to the LEA based on the scoring provided by the submission of policy reduction of
But
boards.
the next one says, in the event of a RIF required, then we've already established that a RIF was happening, so.
No, see, that's.
What's the due process hearing?
Five is wrong too.
Five is-
The due process hearing is for the employee that
I
is
know.
being riffed.
So,
So that's.
So we
But
need-
this
we need
is,
to move
but look
five
at what says,
somewhere.
offer to the LEA based on the scoring.
Well, I think that's when we were talking about there needs to be two people that are looking at that for transparency, or two entities that are reviewing those
I don't read it that way
submissions
though.
of the forms.
I read that as up
Yeah.
here, the board and the Lakeland shall meet and confer in good faith for the purpose of reaching an agreement. Negotiated mutually agree, if an agreement cannot be made.
See, yeah, no, see, so we're still on the wrong one. So 1 through 3 is based on salary and benefits.
Okay.
4, 5, and 6 is all the process for the employee being riffed. Has
Okay.
nothing to do with, so those
Okay.
need to be gone or put somewhere else. So somewhere in there then we have.
I'll fix that part. I feel like this, so upon, this is, we're doing the financial, the board and the link, the parties in the negotiating mutually agree and others, okay, if an agreement, see, this is, so this
So
to
then,
me just goes,
then step 4 should be,
I feel like these go down the bottom somewhere.
So if
Yeah.
an agreement, is that like if an agreement to a change in the negotiated agreement?
so basically the board, in a financial emergency, the board can only discuss salary and benefits. They can't discuss anything else unless the LEA mutually agrees to open up the whole entire negotiated agreement, or even parts of it. You don't have to do the whole thing, you can do parts of it. Once it's opened up, then you can bring.
but I
in
guess what
the-
does that, what role does that play in this particular procedure? Because it's the idea that we renegotiate, do things to prevent a rift from happening, is that what the idea is? Because
Yeah,
that's
well,
what I
it's-
struggled with before.
Yeah, it's how you get to the RIF, because you have to follow a certain amount of steps by declaring a financial emergency. 'Cause
So
in
this is
order-
where we have all, like, what you were talking about is right here. I'm gonna put this cause I did that. This is what Jen was talking about. In my mind, this goes up here.
Yeah,
And so this would be, upon its declaration of financial emergency, the board shall reopen. The board, okay, in the event, so then to what everybody's talking about, says in the event the rift is required, employee, blah, blah, blah. In making a determination as to the individuals, it says, this is where it says your ranking. We need to add additional narrative here of like how you would select who is rift, because it's saying that this is the criterion, so we need an additional 5. So how are we choosing, so what's that language? It needs to be something that's like based on endorsement or open categories, I mean, something to that effect. That's what we're missing.
Which I think is what Corey was asking.
and we don't have that in our current one at all?
Like, do you go like at this, you go K8 and then 8 through 12?
Well, I think it's programs first, so, I mean,
Well,
it's.
I looked at the CDA version, number 3.
Okay,
It says prior to commencing action to terminate certified employee contracts under these procedures, the district administration will determine what buildings, grade level, and subject matter need to be reduced.
well, maybe that's what we need to pull.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like you would be like,
Mhm.
hey, we need
Yeah,
10 teachers, let's take one from English.
and what'd you
one
say, it's
from
number
math,
3?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Right here?
It's number 3.
Okay, and that's their segue, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong there? Is
No,
that-
I think you're right.
That's beautiful.
I'm just wondering if we need to have building, because,
'Cause
I
it's
mean,
right at the-
ours would be across the district.
Well, let's just look at what we'd have. Okay.
Well, in the event a rift is required, certificate or obtained pursuant to the policy will be reassigned if suitable positions or instructional areas where the
So how
employer
does the
qualified
district
for
decide?
was approved.
Right here, so it's in our current policy, so what they do first, they have to look
I
at
think,
the
doesn't
entire
5 go
program
before 4?
proportions,
Yeah.
Yeah.
positions
You
at
think
a
so?
certain grade
Yeah.
level or levels only, positions by category, positions in an overall review of the district, a portion of the percentage of the positions, or any combinations of the above.
So do we have that in ours?
Yeah, that's what we've already finalized in our current policy.
That's the actual policy, but,
Yeah,
so
so it's already stated in the policy,
do we need to have
so
a
I don't think we
procedure?
need to have any of that.
But I feel like we need a segue a little.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at this, and then we're gonna
So what
stop.
number is this
This is actually 5740.
one?
This is our.
Yeah, but remember, we made edits to that. It's right here. Right here. R 5740.
I think that's the one we just opened.
Well, no, you're on the website. Remember, we made.
5740P, that's what we're working
But
with.
yeah, but
Mhm.
it still says the same.
Yeah.
The elimination of retired programs.
Yeah. But this is why you'd be able to go into a reduction of force, the board, the elimination, yeah, right here is the rule, and this is the law.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah,
So would
that's-
you say just use
But I think that it still needs to be in
57
here.
So let's
or
look at, so we have, if the
570P?
parties in the negotiated agreement mutually agree, other matters contained within the negotiated directly affecting may be discussed. Prior to commencing action to terminate certain contracts under these procedures, determine what buildings, grade levels, and or subject matters need to be reduced per this policy. The district will make a list of the certified. In the event a RIF is required, who are returned to the policy, I feel like that's a good segue.
Yeah, I think
That's
so.
what we were
Yeah.
missing. So, good job, whoever gave me that. Can't remember.
Cora, good.
Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, look at you.
In the
Look at
indent,
you.
okay.
You're just a welding instructor.
I know, that's a lot of work.
And so we have all of this. Okay, so then I added in making that, so then it says all forms will be jointly reviewed by the district leadership team and LEA. That's what Jen was talking about, yes?
Yes.
Okay, that has to be in there, and then for each employee, subjected, a certificate, now it's the whole HR process.
Yes.
I feel like this all looks good, and then somewhere we have, if an agreement cannot be made, well, I don't know where that fits.
I don't know where that
Yeah,
goes.
that was weird.
I don't like
I
it.
don't
think
know that
it's
we
not
need it.
in
Where
there.
did we get it from though? Did we? is
It
this
was like, it was
think
in
we
the
wrote it.
Well, it's
Oh.
it is state statute that says that the
That's
employee,
what
after the
this
employee is notified of the RIF, they have to meet with the board.
Well, we have all that in here, the
Yeah,
whole
but
due
that
process.
last one is again more, that last one,
Mhm.
that number 16, stop moving. Just go all the way back down the bottom.
Stop moving, now move.
No, wherever wherever it was, where'd you put it?
You're making me
Stop.
uncomfortable.
So, number 18 up there doesn't make sense. We don't know where to put it because it has nothing to do with the person. It has to do with the due
Yeah.
process of the negotiated
Yeah.
agreement.
But it is part of the procedure.
Number 19 makes sense. Number 18 does not.
So am I taking off 18?
Where did we get it from? It seems
I
like it's
think-
misplaced, or like we added stuff to the top, or out of sequence.
It had to do with the opening of negotiations. Number 18 was connected to the opening of negotiations, and then if we couldn't come to an
Yeah.
agreement, then the next thing happened, but
I'm just gonna leave it
Right.
and we can talk about it, the next time we meet. I do feel like we have the, such reduction, prior to commence terminate and the board, the due consideration. So like, we don't put anything about a financial emergency here.
Cause that's in the procedures.
Oh, because it's in the procedures,
Yes.
but it is in the,
That's in policy.
It was already in
it's in the
policy.
policy. So where does it say financial emergency though?
It should be the very
Right
first,
there.
the
Right
very
here
first
must
thing,
be,
yeah.
so I feel like this is what needs to be here though, because, it says that declared shall be
definition.
effective for only 1 year fiscal at the time, and shall not be declared by the board for a second consecutive unless qualified by additional reduction.
Just in there.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Okay, I feel like we have everything on here,
Yeah.
except for this looks weird. But let's leave it and we can look at it and then, we'll finalize and then we are not going to meet the day after Christmas. And then I think we're gonna try to bump the policy meeting the following Thursday to that morning, if anybody wants to come, but
On the second.
Board Chair Thompson was going to confirm if it works with her schedule. If not,
Is it
then
okay?
we might have it that night, we'll see.
Good. I'll
She was
see.
gonna let me know.
That's right.
Morning would be great.
That's what I figured, so,
Yeah.
otherwise,
Yeah, it's in there.
you guys are amazing.
Cool.